What's going on, everyone? LA Sports back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about all the news that happened yesterday and a little bit of just a quick thing that happened today regarding the New York Giants, the Collin Johnson injury, the Azeez Ojulari injury, and the roster moves that the Giants have made over the last couple of days. We'll start off with the injury to Collin Johnson. As very unfortunate news, Collin Johnson, the Giants' promising young wide receiver, has torn his Achilles in practice yesterday, and he will miss the entire 2022 season. This is a very difficult situation. The Giants just yesterday got back Sterling Shepard from a torn Achilles. He was going to avoid the PUP list. We were all excited and happy about it, and then we get this horrible news about Collin Johnson. This is not easy at all. I think, Collin Johnson, especially the way he was playing not only, like Brian Dable said, not only to make the roster, but to really get a chance to play. Collin Johnson was really, really good and promising. He was going to have a spot on this team, but there's no doubt that he'll be back better than ever. He's going to come back and really want to prove some people wrong who might write him off right now. He's still young, just 24 years of age. He's turning 25 in a month. But he'll be back from his injury at 26 years of age, still a pretty young age. He's only been in the NFL for 2 seasons with the Jacksonville Jaguars in his first year, who they drafted him back in, of course, 2020. And he was a late-round pick, 5th round, 165th overall back in 2020. He didn't really get much playing time in his first 2 years. He did play 26 total games in those 2 seasons, but he just didn't get very many targets. 52 targets in his career, 377 yards over that time. He has 2 touchdowns, so he's obviously for a 5th round pick, he's done a little bit, but he was really going to be good for the Giants this year. I really do believe that, and it's tough that he's out for the year, but he'll be back in 2023 with a full role with the Giants, and I think he's going to be a good player for the Giants, probably number 4 wide receiver on that depth chart. And I don't think that this is going to really mess with him, this injury. I think he's going to be able to come back from the injury and really perform well. So best wishes to Collin Johnson. I think he's going to be back next year with the Giants, and I think he's going to be a very good player for the Giants and a very good receiver. That news is tough there, but prayers to Collin Johnson, and I know that he'll be back next season, so we'll root for that. Collin Johnson 2023 with the New York Giants as a wide receiver. That's going to be a fun thing to look out for. After the New York Giants see that move, they went on to bring in from waivers a couple of players. Jalen Moore, one of them, the receiver from Baltimore, as well as Harrison Hand, the DB from the Minnesota Vikings. Now let's start off with Jalen Moore, the wide receiver. Moore is just 25 years of age, so he's also still young. He was drafted in the same class as Collin Johnson back in 2020. He was drafted, though, by the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously not much experience with him either. He was selected in 2021, 155th overall in the draft, so he was drafted the year after Collin Johnson. My apologies. He's a small receiver, and he's a guy that the Giants will probably just look to try and get something out of. I doubt he even makes the roster. Maybe he's on the practice squad, but don't expect that he is on the opening day roster. It's probably just a depth move in case of an injury, and he might make the practice squad. He might not, so we'll see what happens there with him. The next one is Harrison Hand. Now, I think this is an interesting one, and a lot of Giants, including myself, like this move for Harrison Hand. He's also young, 23 years of age, turning 24 in November. Hand is a very young DB. He plays corner. He played at Temple. He was drafted in the 5th round, 169th overall back in 2020 by the Minnesota Vikings. He spent his entire career there. He hasn't played very much over his career, but the 5'11", 200-pound DB, he's seen some time on the field, 23 games in his 2-year career. He's got an interception in that time, 22 total tackles, 19 solo, 3 assists. He got 3 passes defended, so he could probably play. He's got a shot to make the roster. I really do think that. Although I do think that the guys that, Don Wing Martindale has familiarity with, Khalil Dorsey, who had a sack in that game against the Bengals. I think he stands a better chance to make the roster than guys that Don Wing Martindale's used in the past. But I think Harrison Hand's definitely going to be on the practice squad at the very worst because of his age and because of the upside there. He was really promising at Temple. In college. So we'll see what happens there. But I think Harrison Hand's a really good pickup off waivers. Great claim for the Giants, and I think that at the very worst he'll be on the practice squad. But I do think with all these injuries, I think he has a very good chance. He stands a very good chance to make this roster, so we'll see what happens there. But like I said, at the very worst, Harrison Hand will be on the the practice squad. As for Jalen Moore, not really sure. Maybe the practice squad, but not the opening day roster. The last roster move that I wanted to talk about was Jordan Akins. The Giants cut the tight end. He played most recently with the Houston Texans, and the Giants decided to bring him in free agency. He's 30 years of age, so he's pretty up there in age. He's got 3 career receiving touchdowns through his 4-year career with the Texans. He's played 58 games, started 23 of them. He has 1,260 career yards on 114 receptions on 162 targets. So pretty interesting that the Giants signed him and cut him. But they did bring in some other tight ends, to try and compete to make the roster. But I didn't think Akins was going to make it from the beginning. And I still think that the 3 tight ends that I predicted from a while ago still will be the guys that ultimately end up making this roster. I actually did think Akins was going to make the roster, but I think the other 2, Ricky Seals-Jones and Daniel Bellinger, I think they still will make the roster. Bit of a surprise cut, but at the same time, not too surprised. I think, though, Austin Allen has a chance to make the roster. I think he'll be on the practice squad at the worst. And Chris Myrick has a chance to make the roster. He's been with the Giants for the last couple of years. So I think that there's a pretty good shot he makes the roster. So interesting that the Giants cut Jordan Akins. I guess it just wasn't working out. The chemistry and the continuity just didn't work out with Daniel Jones, and that's completely fine. He's up there in age, and I like the Giants taking chances on a little bit younger guys. So we'll see what ultimately they decide to do at the tight end spot. But I think Daniel Bellinger, the rookie, will be the starting tight end for your New York Giants come Week 1 in Tennessee against those Titans there. So Jordan Akins was cut by the New York Giants. We'll see what the Giants do at the tight end. I think it's moves fine. I don't have a problem with it. Let's just see what the Giants do at the tight end spot. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video was the injury that happened with Azeez Ojulari today. Of course, another Giants injury. Just cannot stop getting hurt. He did leave practice today, but good news now that the MRI confirmed what the initial exams and belief was after the practice, and that he avoided a serious injury. It was a hamstring injury, probably a lingering injury. But still worth talking about briefly. It's obviously tough seeing Ojulari with all these injuries early in the camp, but I think he's going to be fine Week 1 against the Tennessee Titans. I think that'll be all fine. It's obviously something to keep an eye on because, a hamstring could be a lingering injury there. But we'll see what the Giants ultimately decide to do in terms of Ojulari. I can't imagine he plays on Sunday in the preseason finale, but I do think he'll play in Nashville, Tennessee for that first game of the season. But we'll see what ends up happening. I don't think it's major. I just want to come out here and say I think it's a minor injury, and I think Ojulari will be fine. I think he's going to be a dog this year, opposite of Kayvon Thibodeau, and with Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams in between them. That's going to be a scary defense, and I can't wait for that. But guys, that was all I got in this video. You guys let me know down in the comment section your thoughts on all these, new rumors and news from the Giants. The Ojulari injury, the Johnson injury, and the pickups and cuts. The Akins cut, the Harrison Hand, and Jalen Moore claims. Let me know all that good stuff down in the comment section. As always, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We'll see you guys on the next video, and as always, let's go Giants.